Welcome, everyone. What's good, my Pacifica family and extended family everywhere else in the U.S. Today we have amazing birth workers here, birth keepers, people who I definitely hold near and dear to my heart. In our topic, we are going to be talking about why we do what we do. So if you don't mind, Binta and Farah, whoever would like to go first, I would love a quick introduction of what you do and who you are.
You can go, Binta.
What an honor. Salam alaikum, everybody. Greeting, good afternoon, good evening to all of our audiences, anybody watching us here and there. My name is Bintan Young. I'm from Mali, Northwest Africa. I'm a licensed midwife in the state of Washington, and I practice at Blessed Hands Midwives located in the Surrey area. So yeah, that's me. I'm a mother of a toddler. I'm almost a kindergarten age.
So happy to have you in this space, Binta. My name is Farah Kahelani Rivera. I, as well as am a licensed midwife here in Washington. I was born and raised on the island of Oahu in the state of Hawaii. And that I then lived in LA for about 10 years where I met my husband. And now I currently reside on Duwamish territory here in Seattle. I'm currently the program director for the Perinatal Collaborative at Open Arms. And I'm also a quilted health midwife here in Renton. I actually just want to acknowledge that Binta and I have actually delivered babies together. And just, I haven't seen you for a while. We've been in community for years. And it's definitely something I feel is so community felt when friends are midwives and we have been together at a handful of births. So I just want to call that out because I feel the talk story piece is about us being in community together and how wonderful it is to just be in this space and to also just acknowledge LaShante's work and holding down this talk story and being a huge advocate within our Pacifica shared community.
Yes, it's just an honor to be here for sure. And thank you so much, LaShante, for this space and acknowledging our work, acknowledging us, celebrating us. Thank you.
Oh, you put my credentials down there. I didn't put them. MSM, CPM, LM. Yeah, that's a lot of letters behind our names, Binta.
I know, right? We work hard for them.
Yes, like we did. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 letters behind our name. That's intense. I forget about that, right? Just because you don't need that many letters to be in this work. I just want to acknowledge that. I feel that in our practice as midwives, we obtained our masters because we wanted to make impact within our communities regarding maternal health as well as perinatal health. And regardless of those initials, we're still making impact, and they're individuals who are impacting this maternal and perinatal health without those initials behind their name.
Yeah, I know, like there are 1,000 ways to Rome. Like that was the saying in French, like, mille voix, but it is like those individual, education, right? Extra education that we're trying to acquire is beneficial only to our community, of course,
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, this is already making me wish that we had more than an hour together because just from an introduction, we got so much information. So, okay. The first question I would love to ask the both of you is why did you decide to become a midwife or a doula? Was it a dream or a goal for you or something that was passed down from your mom or grandma?
That's an intense question.
You go first, Farah, this time.
Before we move on, I do have to say that we are waiting for one more person. For those of you watching, we're waiting for Tanika Fortin, another licensed midwife here in Washington State, to join us. So when she gets on, she'll introduce herself as well and then hop into the discussion. So take it away, ladies.
Binta's making me go first. Okay, fine. All right. Before I get started about becoming a midwife or a doula, the word midwife and doula, like that is those are very Americanized words. And in each culture, midwives or doulas who were in community and surrounding birth work, they didn't use the word midwife or doula. They were our aunties, they were our uncles, they were our grandparents, they were probably the individual within the community who had like a whole bunch of babies and just became the expert. Where I'm from, where my indigenous roots are from, is from the northern region of what is now known as the Philippines, in the island of Luzon. And before before I got into birth, I was actually working and wanted to become a physical therapist because I wanted to work with moms and babies. And in my 20s, I actually achieved that goal of working with moms and babies in a pool. And it was so much fun. Loved it. I was in a bathing suit, like doing aquatic therapy, like 5 days out of the week. But it wasn't filling this heart space for me. And I was like, there's something more that I need to do. And birth workers often talk about a calling to this work. So I was at 11 o'clock at night. There was no lights on. I was on my computer and I was just looking up like health for moms and babies. And the word midwife came up. And something sparked it touched my soul when I saw that word midwife. I didn't know why, but I knew it worked. I knew it was working with moms and babies. I was like, okay, let me dive into this. Then I discovered how horrific these statistics for mothers and babies are in the United States. And that touched my social justice piece inside of me of like, ooh, I can not only work with moms and babies, but I can also cover this part that's really important for me in my community. So I applied for school and was attending school. And when I would attend births, I would feel like tingling in my hands when I was at birth. And I like never understood it. I would even check, like, do I have rash or something? No, it was not rash. It was just this tingling feeling in my hands. And I had posted a picture on one of my social media accounts. And then I started to have family members who are from the Philippines informing me that my great grandmother delivered babies in her barrio back where we're from. So it was from that moment that I didn't have this knowledge. Like I was never told that someone from my line delivered babies in her country, in her community, in her neighborhood. Like that was not told to me. But when it was told to me, I was like, oh, that's why my heart feels this way. That's why my soul feels so connected to moms and babies. I'm the oldest out of a whole bunch of grandbabies, and I was always there for my aunties and my cousins who were having babies. I always felt really connected to them in that sense. And when I was informed that my great grandmother was delivering babies, her name is Salome Mendoza. I want to make sure that I put her name out there into the universe to give her honor and love. It was then shared with me that not only did she deliver babies, but she and her husband would deliver babies for families in the community, and that her eldest daughter, Magdalena, was also delivering babies. And being connected in that way, like feeling it in my hands, feeling it in my soul, feeling it in my heart, is that calling that I feel many birth workers, if not all, hold within their spirit to continue and be a part of this work. I also wanted to say hi to Tanika. You're here. Yay. And I will pass the baton to whoever would like to go next.
Binta, if it's okay with you, I would love for Tanika to give her introduction and then she can hop in. Okay.
Hi, everybody. Hi, it's my pleasure to be here. My name is Tanika. I'm a licensed midwife and a holistic therapist. That involves massage, that involves herbalism, somatic therapy, meditation, all kinds of good things. I work wherever the work is needed. So I live in Sumner. So sometimes it's like all the way up in Seattle. Sometimes it's more down south. But I currently am doing most of my midwifery type work with a company called Quilted Health. So I'm doing some telemedicine with them, and that's really wonderful. So I'm not attending births at this particular moment. And then just, from years of being in the community, there's always phone calls, emails. The work is always continuing to support people in pregnancy. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Tanika, for taking the time to join us.
Yeah.
We were just going over the first question, which is, why did you decide to become a midwife or doula? Was it a dream or goal for you, or something that was passed down from your mom or grandma?
Oh, yeah. It was more because of my personal experience. My first son, he's almost 20 years old, and I had him in the military hospital. And my experience wasn't bad, but even at 18 years old, I knew that was not it. I was like, that can't be. That was like very unsupportive, and lots of it just felt too clinical. It felt too not emotionally supportive, not supportive of my heart, and of my spirit and of my soul. And so it was from there that I moved into becoming a childbirth educator, and then from there, then I became a doula. And it's just like everything just continues to build and build. And then as a childbirth educator, that's when I realized, ooh, we need more birth support. And then I became a doula, and then as a doula, I'm realizing, oh, what's the next a next step. And so that's kind of what brought me into midwifery, was just my personal experience, and then continuing to see the need continuously for a type of care that was more personal, culturally relevant and appropriate in many cases. And so that's what brought me to midwifery. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So far, we've heard lots of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
I just know Binta's got something good for us. I'm so ready.
Are you sure? My story is so, you have heard 1,000 times already. You're wow. Let's see. Oh my goodness. What made me choose this path? I feel like it was never like one kind of thing, and it's like this maybe not a calling, but this desire of really being the care provider for women. That's actually brought me towards like the aesthetic part of way and being what I am. But I tell everybody, it's like when I was a child, I grew up around a lot of taboos where talking about our body as women was really hard. And and I tell everybody, like, the fact, like, I accepted to the title of being the naughty girl just so that I can be curious and allow other girls even older than my age to talk about their body and what they were going through. Um, and I remember, and I think I'm blessed, and I was blessed growing up to have access to some of the electronics and even the internet back then. Like, I remember in high school, when I get to high school, because I knew what I wanted to become or where I wanted to go. In high school, I selected to focus my studies in science, biological science. I'm trying to translate French to English right now. Which pretty much is like, in my country, you have to choose what you want to do when you grow up, and that's what they guide you from middle school to high school, and then from high school, if like based on that pathway, if you want to go to medical school, you have to select your pathway, and that is biological science, and then from there I went to medical school. And I remember in high school, I will save my lunch money to be able to go to the internet cafe, pay for an hour of internet services, and scream the question that my folks were asking, from like some white thing is coming from me, from like pregnancy to like anything that I couldn't learn more at school. So I was really that person growing up, and so like it really pushed me to learn more and more. So when I went to medical school back in my country, my brother, who was here already in the state of Washington, talked to me about all the things that I want to do and how it's available in this country. Not only about the education, but it's like there's no taboo, and there's like books, there is like access to internet, there's like lab and things like that. And it was like, let me talk to our mother, and I think you should come to this country and be that. So, and I'm really, really like grateful for my brother, and I wanna, really like show thankful to him in this space, because if he didn't share that UW, and it was UW we talked about. But anyway, I never got to UW because of financial barrier. My parents are not from this country. I was an international student. There was a lot of barrier to me. Then when I came here, so they say, hey, you cannot go to medical school, no matter how your degree is, no matter how smart you are, you have to be a nurse. That was already a barrier set for us as immigrants. You can only be a nurse. You can only be a licensed LPM or RN to the maximum. So I was like, no, I was already a medical student. Why will I try to be a nurse here? And eventually I want to go back home. So anyway, and I met this lovely lady, who became like my auntie, not by biological one. And then she taught me about Bastille. So anyway, down the line, I found my pathway, and I'm like, this is it. This is what I was meant to be, and this is what I need to be. Like, be a midwife, gonna be allowing me to be intimate with women, talk to them about their body, take care of them and take care of their baby and guide them. And my work has been driven to like the community, to the women in my community, to really being there for people. As you all know, like, I really love taking care of people that way. Like in the background, like I think that's my own pathway to midwifery. Although like my own grandmother, like, in a village, is one of like a midwife, like we call her matron. She was selected by the community to be that, the voices, and to be delivering women, the baby children there. But this is my own pathway, and I'm really happy to be here. And I really love this pathway, and I love what I'm doing. And there's no taboo. I tell people, when it comes to Binta's place, there's no taboo. You gotta talk about it. You gotta call it how it is. So
that's so true. Call it how it is every time. My next question for all of you is, what do you love about your work? I was asked this today in a meeting, and it took me a good 5 minutes to answer it. Not because there is nothing I love about what I do for work, but because there's so much. So I understand if you all need to take some time to think of your answer. I was babbling.
When I think of the work that I do in Open Arms and the director role that I have there, I have to separate the two. I have to definitely separate the two between me being a clinician, being a midwife, a community midwife, and then also my work, my administrative work, and why those two are quite separate. So we'll go into the fun stuff of being a midwife, because I feel like that's a lot funner. I think of what I would like people to hear about what I love about being a midwife. I feel like there's this fire that I feel of when I'm able to support a natural process of birth and educate individuals, and there's a sense of reclaiming traditions and culture that happen within pregnancy, in the postpartum, and when women or people who have wombs who are birthing start to discover pieces of themselves. I feel like seeing that discovery happen in parents is astounding. And it's not just with moms, it's with their parents, with their partners, and with grandmothers, and with their cousins. It's it really is a community affair when a family is very much involved. And it's this experience that I get to be a part of. And I believe that individuals who are part of this work, to be able to be at the precipice of birth, you're beginning to really understand the many layers of what a person is experiencing, not just on a physical level, but on a spiritual level as well. This cosmic things that are happening for an individual, and being able to be a part of that. And then to also be able to advocate for them in that way of like, you can make that sound, that ooh, ahing that you're doing, that movement of that body, that thing that you want to feel in order for you to get this baby out or for you to get to that next stage in labor. Do it. Do it, mama. You can do it. I feel like it's one of my favorite things because it's reclaiming that primal feeling that we have been suppressed. Like we suppress it because, I mean, I don't think I have to explain it. I think as people with wombs and are and in presence as this, we're constantly being suppressed. And at birth, when we're able to kind of tear away those layers and just let it happen the way that this person wants to feel it, is amazing. And then I might get a little emotional, but when a baby is then placed into a person's arms, whether it's a grandma, whether it's a sister, whether it's a toddler, whether it's a dad, that moment when their eyes meet, I mean, it's, I kind of can't describe it. It's special. And to be able to even have that, like after a person has a baby, sometimes they're off somewhere else because they just experienced this thing. And to be able to call them back and be like, hey, look at your baby. And then see that moment when they're connecting is probably one of my favorite things. And then when other people are a part of that moment, like grandmas are then looking at the baby and then seeing their hearts like open and expand, and also seeing healing happen within them when they're able to experience a birth. I feel like summing all of that up is the healing aspect of what is able to happen within pregnancy, postpartum, and lactation when family members and community members are a part of that birth. I feel like is one of my favorite things of being a midwife. In a director role, as working for a nonprofit, it fulfilled a social justice piece of my heart, where we know the statistics, we know how horrific things are for moms and babies. And I came to the realization, like, I can't do this by myself. Like, I can't. We need everybody. We need everybody to be a part of something surrounding moms, babies, and families. And the role that I stepped into helped to really build the workforce of BIPOC birth workers in Washington State, and to continue to have those conversations, because there are individuals who want to step into this role. There are people who want to become birth workers, or people who are wanting to become either a doula, a lactation peer counselor, become midwives, and there wasn't conversations or pathways where it was being talked about or supported. And as the role that I'm in right now, being able to see individuals step into that role, Ashanta, you're one of them, it fulfilled that piece of me, and it continues because now we have more. We have more, and more people can experience that first time looking at a baby. They can be a part of that, and they can help others. And that part is my favorite part of that administrative director role.
I love that you pointed that out, because everyone here on this live broadcast played a tremendous role in the growth of myself in birth work. So I can't even, if you guys can hear me when I'm talking to other people about you, I'm always fangirling. I am your biggest fans. And it's just crazy that the community that comes out of birth work is almost, if not as strong as the community that we surround ourselves with, like family, true family. So my son's walking up the stairs. Give me 1 second.
So Vince or Tanika, you're next. No pressure, no pressure.
I will go last. Tanika, you got the floor.
No. Aww. See Auntie Farah, Auntie Binta, and Tanika.
Tanika,
you- Are you muted, Tanika?
we cannot hear you.
She'll probably drop back in. Oh, Binta, you're next.
Hey, little one. Oh my goodness, you are growing. Oh wow, it's what do I love about what I do? Oh my goodness, so much about it. But I'm gonna just bring you back to like just in the month of March. I think like my biggest ha 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 ha. I felt that, and that was when I was holding space for the refugee, the new refugees family coming into the city, to the town, and Doula Prenatal Services has hired me to be providing child protection classes, but through their pilot program for birthing in America. And I think like most of the time we are here, we sit down, like we have so much access to care and so much privilege that sometimes we are focusing on the negative part of things, that we forget how privileged and how blessed we all are. And I remember walking into the room, right? Like we are here, we educate people, right? We do childbirth classes, we do prenatal class, sessions and all that. Like you walk into the room, right? Like you are that privileged person, no, in any setting, right? Like you have that skills, you have that knowledge, and you walk into a room. Sometimes we walk into a room and like not knowing what to expect, but sometimes we think we know until like we get surprised. But it's like my haha moment is like I'm walking into this camp or this hotel, whatever it is, to hold sessions, and they tell you, okay, which room to go in, and then I walk into the room, right, and I'm like waiting for the participant to enter, and as I am really doing what I do love, which is educating everybody about not only about yourself, but like trying to be advocating for you, right? Educating and empowering every burning person, everybody that comes to my pathway, no matter like your background is. But in this moment, it wasn't only about like me educating or advocating. The empowerment, like everything just went like this wind that just blew like on your face, and then you have this like awakening moment. And I have room full of women, some with the little children, some pregnant, not knowing how far they are in their pregnancy, some guessing, some haven't had any care, and they're telling you about the story of what they've been through and how they got here, and how they were even in the country that they're from, and their voices. And it's like my moment just came to me, like, this is what I was meant to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is why I love. This is why I get up in every morning, and this is why I would drive 1,000 miles to be to a location, and this is the reason, like, I want to stretch my skin, even though it means I get burned. That was like recently. I do like enjoy everything that I've been doing, but it's like this is the moment that I really like get to really have that. I love what I do. I love educating, advocating for folks, and empowering everybody, no matter your background is, because every woman should have a voice, should be heard, should be trusted, should be listened to, like should be cared for. Even though you have $0 in your bank account, even though you don't speak the language that has been colonized, we've been colonized with the language that's been driven, which is English. Like, you still deserve that. And I am to be that person to make sure that your voice is being heard, and then whatever you need, resources need to be brought to you. So yeah, that's
That's such a beautiful description. Like, just sitting here kind of gives me chills listening to you describe the moment. I don't even want to say too much to add to that because it was so beautiful. Tanika, last time you were talking, we got disconnected.
I know. Wow. I think what I love about my work, it goes a little bit back to something that Binta was talking about, but the way that I was raised was very conservative in a way that birth and my body and everything was very taboo. And so for me, being able to connect with other people in a way where they can speak freely and openly about not just birth, which is why I've kind of expanded, into just intimate spaces and relationships with people in my practice. But that connection and that trust, that's what really drew me deeply into birth work, was being that person and holding that space where the person knew that they were safe, that they were not going to be judged. I mean, that to me is what I love about my work, is creating a safe space for people to speak freely, to be able to talk about what they've done in the past, what they plan to do in the future, what they're doing right now, and just to not feel like they're being judged, to just be able to be who they are in that moment, moving through life, however that may be, and to be okay with that. So just that deep connection, and deep trust with people, and creating that for people, that's really what I love about my work yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tanika.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know about you all, but I definitely needed to just take that breath in and just release all of my emotions that were coming up as all of you spoke. So here, I'll move forward with our next question. Why is midwifery care important to our communities? Who would like to go first?
I guess I'll go. I mean, we could write a couple books about this. Oh boy. I'll just speak from my personal experience. And all care providers are different. Within the midwifery community, there's different types of midwives. Within, the doctors and obstetric community, like there's different types of obstetricians. But midwives create a different kind of a space for people. And I think that it has to do with kind of the depth and breadth of care that we can offer to our communities. So I feel like within midwifery, there's so much more understanding of what's going on the ground level within our communities. And we're able to bring that into care. There's so many more things that many midwives are able to bring into their practice, such as nutrition, herbs, just cultural things for pregnancy, for postpartum, that offer a more holistic support that is deeply needed in communities, specifically communities of color. So I think that the depth and the breadth of care that midwifery brings to BIPOC communities is really where it shines. It's really where it shines. It's really where it supports and uplifts the community in a loving, supportive way. And it also creates, it's almost like roots, because through the midwifery community, we have all of these resources and all of these little outshoots to connect people to. And yeah, so yeah.
Community midwifery care is the community care. Definitely agree with that statement. And with the conclusion that I got from speaking to Nika. Binta or Farah, do either of you want to add to this question?
I will
I'm
go.
trying to figure it.
You will go last one.
I know, I was looking, I'm like, it's so interesting to be in this virtual space, because I was all like, Tanika, Pinta, are you guys gonna go? Because Tanika, you're right. We could write, like, this is like, that's a PhD. Like, you could write books, and there are books, there's research that have proven why midwifery care is so good. We can boast ourselves about like the kind of care that we give. And we're actually backed by research. Like, we are evidence-based people. So I when I think about this question, I can't help but to look at that word community, because I feel I want to acknowledge the way that birth was before coming to a space where dominant culture has colonized birth. And that's a very loaded thing that I'm saying. I'm saying something very loaded. Is that the experience surrounding family and the ceremony of birth was a community event. We weren't alone. We weren't alone. In matter of fact, we knew more about our bodies. We knew more about traditions. We knew more about food then than we do now. And the word midwife, the role of a midwife, was more than just surrounding pregnancy, birth, and lactation. We were the individuals in the community who held many spaces. And the reason I say ceremony is because we held those traditions, and we still do. We still do hold those traditions and those with the cultural background, the food, the herbs, the medicines, the magic. I feel like that's the only way that I can describe it. We hold that connection. And that is what people really want in that space of birth, in lactation. They want that connections, because in that experience of pregnancy, birth, and postpartum and lactation, people forget that we are experiencing these internal cosmic things that we no longer talk about. And the space, Tanika, what you were saying of us holding, allows for that space to be like, I had this dream last night about my grandma, and she told me that I need to eat a coconut because I'm not hydrating. And I'm like, yeah. Because our wombs are our connections to our ancestors, and our wombs are connections to our lands. It doesn't matter if I am an indigenous person to a place that is not in the Philippines, and I was born and raised in Hawaii. Our wombs are a connection to the land that is here. And to understand that and to honor that space throughout the perinatal period. That's what they call it now, the perinatal period, right? Like what is that? Like when you start having babies and then like 5 years after you have your baby, like I've had to wrap my mind around all of these words. And midwives, I mean, I feel like that's not the word I want to use. The word that we called ourselves partidas. And we were the ones bringing these medicines and harvesting them and planting them and praying over them so that when we use them, they worked. And that connection of being in alignment in that way so that these families who are working with, they can also feel that alignment so that they can bring forth life, is that space that midwives, partidas, parteras, I Muso Dambe, Binta, you taught me that that's what they, right? Is it Muso Dambe? I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. And I apologize. Those, am I wrong?
Like Sash Farm, like, so, which is French, and Musadame, which is the title that I gave myself, like the it's like the honor, like it's more than that. This doesn't even have like one meaning, right? We are honoring women for sure, the gatekeeper, so which is a title, yeah. So.
Thank you. I was like, oh no, I just demolished the word. I apologize. I've been demolished like a high ranking title, and I'm like feel horrible in my heart that I might have done that. Going back to why parteras, musodambes, midwives are coming back. First of all, we never left. We were always here. Oh, no matter how much they tried to like, no matter how much they tried to be like, no, don't go to them. We were always here, and we never left. And people continue to come to us because of the experiences that they're having in places that have taken away and have oppressed people, birthing people. And the community aspect of coming together is that support that we've always known and feel in our bodies that we need. And not only do I feel like it's important for families, but it's also important for us as practitioners, as doulas and as midwives. That community sense is also being they're trying to tear us apart as well, because that's just the way that oppression works, right? And the community and midwifery care, and why it's important is because we're taking it back. Like we're totally taking it back, and we're kind of putting our foot down in that sense of like, it's not, we're gonna do it. Like I don't care what you say. Like we're gonna do it. And there's a sense of resilience that we're able to stand in and hold and exemplify so that others can do the same as they are birthing their babies, as they are nursing their children, and as they're parenting. We can hold that example. We hold that example for them. Yeah, I feel like that's something, that's the holistic view of the way that I see why midwifery care is not only important but so vital to communities.
I reason with all of you, and I just look at our model of care, and it is like, once I look at that and I put that in front, like even like earlier when I was in that panel, like our model of care is itself like a healing step for our people, because it's like we see them, we spend more time, we listen, right? Like we don't rush into our visits. When we serve our communities, when midwifery care, we're bringing it to our communities, I see it as like, I don't have to tell you who am I. At least I don't have to tell you about my race. I don't have to I don't have to explain to you so much more. Like I can preserve my energy to heal and to grow my baby. That's how I see it. And like one of the point that I wanted to add to everything that we all said already is like the shared decision making, the informed consent that we delicately like dissect, put together, and we bring the culture into it. We bring the identity to it. We bring the humanity, like, you know, like we are dealing with human when we discuss about research, when we just don't give you a piece of document and tell you what to do or how you should be doing things. We talk about, this is the information, this is the personal thing, this is the cultural thing, this is the ancestral thing, like whatever it is that we want to bring to make a human to our community. And then we set it, put it all together in the same space that we've been creating that's safe for them. And then you get to make the best decision for you and your family. And, you know, and that panel was about vaccination and all that, but it's like, you get to choose what is best for you. And as a care provider, as us or people, we need to be okay for the decision that they're taking, right? And we need to be ready, as anybody need to be ready on the pathway that our people are taking. I know, like I mentioned earlier, this like sometimes, or even myself, I will break every boundaries that like we are to be putting out for our community. Sometimes we want to do so much more that we end up breaking every type of boundaries that a care provider should place into it. But sometimes it's like we go extra miles so that even though the person does not give birth with us, right, that little account that's happening, right, it's like the midwifery little care, even if they don't do out of hospital birth, they go do in hospital birth, whatever it is, their choices. But that little account that they do on our model of care, you know, the outcome's gonna be better. That outcome is what matters at the end of the day sometimes. And as Tanika says, like, it's customized, right? Like, even though BIPOC, our community is such a variety, like it's such virus, right? Like, I mean, no, but that's not the right word, like I'm trying to say, but it's like diverse. It's diverse, right? And care provider are that way as well. And every community has different needs. And so midwifery care is a good pathway for our people. Either be at least a step to decolonization or to ending racism, which the two are end in end. You cannot talk about racism without talking about colonization. You cannot talk about colonization without talking about racism. Just like at the end of the day, midwifery care is just an important role of healing, of bringing that ancestral root back into our lives right now that has been taken away from some of our people. Not every of our people, but some of them have been, you know, lost in the mix of what is available to them and what is not available to them, and the institutional racism and everything else in between. So
I wanted to add one more. I'm putting on my medical hat. I'm putting on my research hat right now. And one fact that is true is that for people who have wombs and they are pregnant, majority of individuals who will receive any kind of medical care, any kind, is in pregnancy. And pregnancy gives a window into a holistic view of what's going on with that person. And it is an opportunity for an individual who is pregnant to get care so that it lasts longer than that time of pregnancy. And I believe midwifery care allows for that holistic view for impact to be made for long-term health. I bring up two things because those are extremely prevalent in BIPOC communities: is diabetes and heart conditions. And pregnancy presents those colonized diseases and gives us an ability to make change and have conversations to have long-term health for not only the mother, but also the baby. And I wanted to share that because it's like we're talking about like the nuances of midwifery care and how beautiful it is. And the window that midwives get into a person's life allows for a person to even better themselves or improve their health, because a motivating factor that they have is growing a person on the inside. Yep. That's what I want to add.
I think we have time for one more question. The question I want to ask is, what are some of the challenges you faced as a midwife or doula? Well, a midwife.
Lashanta, we're gonna have to make a show about that one, okay? Like that's a whole nother show.
I'm saying, that's what I said. I need just an hour with you three. Goodness golly.
We can make it short. Let's
We
make
can,
it
yes.
short. Like,
We can
you
do
know,
it. We
It's
can
like
do
there's
it.
so much, right? But let's name it. Misinformation.
Demystifying birth, demystifying birth, pregnancy, nutrition. And I believe another challenge that I believe that I face as a person working in birth is the want to work within community, to want to work with my community, to work with communities of color, to work with BIPOC community, and the stereotypes of what a midwife is, and demystifying what that and demystifying those assumptions about how that care is held, and why I believe that midwifery care is great.
Oh boy.
Another show, right, Tanika? Another show.
Well, I think that the most challenging thing for me, especially when I was like really in the thick of midwifery, was wanting there to be more of me, because I saw the need, I see the need, and I want to be able to be there for all of the people. And that was a big challenge, and learning how to connect to the people within the midwifery community, so that I, but just feeling that that we still need more, we still need more. And yeah, for sure.
And stereotyping. We do have a lot of stereotyping amongst, in that's another challenge, right? It's like, who do we allow to serve which community? And we thought welcoming is hard when we already as ourselves have placed that barrier, right? Like you said, like we have internalized, we have inhaled that stereotyping, we have inhaled the racism so much more that sometimes it affects our ability to see who wants to do good, or who is doing the work, or who's doing the underneath, under the ground job. That's another challenge, that sometimes we focus so much, or we put the energy in trying to like really make ourselves worth in our communities, right? And talking about like Farah, like you are touching on like to right from like an organization to like Culture Health, like, and we are all extending right to between organization and here and there, like we're trying to cover as much as we can. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's like I tell people, the person that first come into contact with a family is that person to make the biggest difference. Because if you are fully, disclosing, like being unbiased and giving the families all the option that is out there, that itself is saving lives. But if the first person in touch with a family or somebody like, oh, I'm pregnant, or I'm thinking to get pregnant, or that makes and you just choose to disclose one side of the option, you are disadvantaged. You are not doing them any favor. You are actually leading to more of the statistical number that we are seeing, the adverse outcome that we are seeing. So whoever comes in contact with a birthing person, but with your first catch is to be unbiased. Let them make the decision for themselves.
Something else that's coming to mind for me is accessibility and repair. And those two words mean different things in different states, and those two words mean different things in different parts of Washington, and it also means different things for different statuses of individuals that Tanika, Binta, and I represent. And when I think of accessibility to prenatal care is not a thing that is open for everyone, especially when we're looking at immigrant populations that include Pacific Islanders and Africans. That is not accessible. And I think of the reason why repair is coming to mind is there are often times when families come into our care because of the things that have happened to them. And while it's not, I don't see it as something that is difficult for us. However, it is difficult for the family to navigate into trust a provider when they've had horrific things happen to them in a time when you are supposed to be the most loved and the most honored and the most worshipped in being a pregnant person, bringing life into this world. And when I think about repair, it brings back healing and colonization and how that all intertwines into community, and how I believe birth workers, whether it's a doula, you're doing lactation, whether you're someone who's making bills about midwifery, everyone is needed in order to help boost and uplift that piece for perinatal health. And I wanted to put that there because it all ties in, because we're having this conversation because there are people who are putting themselves into a position because of the things that have happened to them where they are not receiving care because they're like, I can't put myself through that again. And I have seen in community what can happen. And it can be beautiful. So people are free birthing and things can be fine. And there's the other side of that. And I've seen that happen. And it is because of what is happening. Excuse me, I'm getting angry. What is happening with our community? What's happening specifically to BIPOC community? People are putting themselves into that position, not receiving care because of what happened to them. And they have a right to do that, but it's also putting them and their baby and their community in danger. And I support how a person, whatever choice that a person makes, and there's this other side that providers and families and community are perpetuating without that conversation of why they are doing that.
There's challenge in our work. There's challenge, and like I know we have midwife and doula entertainment, but it's like I tell people like you can be a midwife can be a doula, but a doula cannot be a midwife. And at least into further training and knowledge and adding to your scope of practice. But it's like, but yet, like it is like the same boat that oftentimes the misinformation put us there, and then it's like we are all being beaten out with the same stick. It is a saying that the barriers of misinformation is like when we are this, like it's affecting our collaboration. Collaboration used to happen very well in our midwifery communities. This is when I was in school. This is with you, Farah. We used to collaborate. But now this challenge is like, if for Tanika, I think for Tanika you farm, right? I think I might have seen the farm, right? Like,
Yes.
When you go out there, right, and it is like you put a nice tree, right? It's like boom. All of the chickens or all of like the goat or whatever, like right, you are just like you there's a prey there, and but we know we shouldn't be like that because we have brains and we have hearts to an extent, and we should remind ourselves it's like our people are dying at a very high rate, and not dying, but the damage, like Farah is the example you're saying, like some damage is irreparable. Um, and until there is uniting happening into like our communities, and damage will be made continuously. And I think that's another challenge that, um, and we cannot be solving it, right? Like one day or 1 hour, it will continuously happen. But doula has been kicked out of homes. They've been misguided. Midwife has been treated as doulas in a setting that our skills are very, very needed. Um, it's like if you go to the hospital and you transfer your clients, you become the doula because you don't have a scope of practice there. But then yet it's like a doula will come at another setting and they get all confused. So it's like it's not safe sometimes or work.
I feel like one of the challenges that our work is never going to be done. It's very likely that what we are saying will improve and will get better in some sense, but then it opens up another box. It will open another box and be like, ooh, now we can do this thing that needs to be fixed, that needs to be repaired. And so we need each other. We need community. We need each other. We need these conversations so that our voices can be heard, and that we can share what our skills and what our abilities are, and people can understand and see themselves within us. I feel like is another piece that will improve care, that will improve outcomes, if people can see themselves within their providers, because there's a mutual respect, there's a mutual understanding. And like Bent, I love the way that you said it. The energy can be put into growing their babies and obtaining the education that they need in order to be safe, in order to feel well. And the other part of the fight, other part of the explanation, the other part of oppression will not have to be so present.
Before we end live stream, I have to sing praises for all of you again, like I forever will, because all three of you play critical, very critical roles in all the community. I am so honored to have been able to sit here for an hour and take you away from your busy schedules. Binta, I know you have to go. So if you do have to log out before I finish rambling.
I can't. I'm gonna wait. Sorry for anybody watching who's like participating in my classes. I'll be filming.
I also just want to acknowledge, Lashante, you are in this with us.
Yes.
Like you're singing our praises, but please know I'm singing your praises too. I'm like, did you know what Lashante's doing? Oh my God. And you literally brought us together. And I know you guys were like, when I was asked, and then when I was told who was going to be part of this conversation, my heart leapt into my throat. I was like, oh, this is going to be good. It's going to be juicy.
Yes.
And Lashante, you're in it with us. You are standing right next to us. You are stepping up into this position where, sorry, love, no turning back. Sorry. Apologize now.
To stop because last live and everyone's gonna know that I'm a big old baby. But honestly, yes, I cannot appreciate this moment any more than I already do. My heart is leaping out of my chest, and I hope everyone understands how much of an honor it is to just be able to have you three in this space and anyone else who comes on here to offer your knowledge, offer your love, and offer everything that you give endlessly to the community. Farah, I need to smile because my eyes are tearing. And your face is telling me, go ahead, Shanti, cry. Okay.
I'll close my eyes. You close my eyes.
No, I truly do. I love every one of you. We appreciate you and everything you do. And I honestly, I really hope there's another time that we can have you guys back on, if not all together, one at a time, to just hear the wisdom and the knowledge and all the love that you have to offer, because it's valued for sure.
Thank you so much for having us, and it was needed. And I hope everybody who's viewing us or who's going to view us, that you know you get to have take home messages and take home, and you feel like there is a village out there. And I thought I was thinking Farah might have said it, but it's like I think that's the word. Like
Say it again. Say it again.
It takes a village. It takes a village to do what we do in a birth work. It takes a village to raise a family, and you get to choose your family sometime. You get to choose that village. I mean, your family is per luck, actually. It is a luck. You are blessed by family. Some with blood, some, like some of you here, like we are sister by like, not from the same mother, but we are sister because we choose to have, to make another family, right? That's not blood related, but that village, you can make it up. And there's great providers out there. There's great resources out there. There's great doula services out there. And make your village. Make your village. Raise your child. Raise your children the best that you know. And when it comes to your children and your family, you are the expert. So follow your gut instinct. Follow your truth instinct. And call on us. So.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. I'll let you go, and I look forward to seeing you in the community and on the web.
That sounds good. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Adios. Ahuiho.
Thank you.